A Facebook question of the day. We'll ask you first, Dennis, and that is, with the shutdowns at 2 months and counting, should the NBA cancel the 2019-2020 season? Should they just cancel it, or should they find a way to get a champion here?
No, I think you finish what you started. They played enough games in the regular season to have that stand. You take your 1 through 8 seeds in both conference, and you have playoffs at a neutral site, preferably Las Vegas. And as I've said to you on previous shows, Les, I would do a one and done, a one-time only, pandemic-induced, as I said before. Pandemic-induced, well, one and done. You didn't get March Madness from the NCAA. Why not have August Madness from the NBA?
I'll tell you what, you said that a couple of months ago, and it's starting to catch some legs a little bit. I've heard it from various sources as a pretty good way to approach this. I understand Larry Nance Jr., I understand his willingness and desire to play. There's money involved and all that stuff, and it's good to hear him feel that way, but that's not realistic.
Right. I think it's, I think the season spoke for the teams that did not make the playoffs. In other words, they had enough time to make the playoffs, and they didn't get there. So they have no leg to stand on. They have no shoulder to cry on. They had enough time. And by the way, in both conferences, one of the deficits between that the 9th seed was facing is 5.5 games. I think that was in the West. And in the East, it's 3.5. So it's not like one team was only a game out and you're pinching them out of a playoff spot. I think it's fair to go 1 through 8 on both sides. And my point is this. You can laugh at the one and done and say, well, that's not how the NBA does business. Well, you know what? The pandemic is not how anybody does business. So I would rather have an NBA one and done tournament or even one and done and then best of 3 or best of 5 in the final than nothing at all.
Yeah, good point. All right, so we asked that question of our Facebook respondees, and that is, with the shutdown at 2 months and counting, should the NBA cancel the season? Larry Pantages, they don't have to cancel anything. Resume when testing and a vaccine arrives safely, even if it's a long time away. Then keep the playoffs and start the next season 60 days later with draft picks and new free agents. Unlike baseball, the calendar and the weather don't mean a hill of beans to the business model of basketball. Glenn Berger says, under normal circumstances, the playoffs would have started around April 16th. If the NBA receives health clearance, I would start the playoffs now with only playoff-eligible teams, playing a couple of best-of-5 series. It makes no sense to be playing basketball in July. Dennis Davis says, I would have a short minicamp followed by NCAA-style tournament. That's what D-Man suggests. The winner in the East and West could then play for the best of 2 out of 3. Kevin Quinby, my take, only the playoff teams would want to play. It's a good point. Well, there's money. They'd all want to play, I would think.
Unless, let me say this. The king, LeBron James, has made it pretty clear that he wants to finish what was started, because you're LeBron James, you're up there in years, even for him. We know he's on the backside of his career, even though it seems like he's the one guy that can defeat Father Time. His Lakers, number 1 seed at this stage of LeBron's career, you think for 1 second he wants to just give up the opportunity to win a 4th title? I don't think so.
I don't either. And also, how about another MVP?
Yeah, I mean, it's he versus Giannis for sure. And who knows how the vote would go. But listen, I think it's in the NBA's best interest. Just as I said about baseball, as when I said baseball would have potentially July and August as a captive audience, the NBA could be thinking, you know what? We could have August as in a tournament setting. We could really dominate the sports news cycle in August, even while baseball is playing.
Right, and before football lights it up. And it would happen before football lighted it up.
I would want to get things done if I were, the NBA. I'd want to get it done before September. And if I were baseball, I'd want to get, at least maximize July and August to the fullest capacity before the NFL gets underway.
Dennis,
And
I
if
know.
you're the NBA and you sell a once in a lifetime NCAA style tournament to the viewers at home, I think it would be an incredibly huge endeavor.
Yeah,